Welcome to Female Frequency Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Jody Nelson, curator, artist, mentor, divine channel, and host of Female Frequency. I am here to bring you unbound forms of ecofeminism, reclaiming art, spirituality, and feminine power to revive the earth. Each week, Female Frequency brings you intimate conversations with trailblazers and amazing stories to ignite change. You'll find inspiring alternatives to the patriarchy, discover creative paths, courage, connection, and magic. Hear from the heroes who activate and restore the divine feminine for our earth. Each episode serves as a catalyst, offering wisdom along with practical steps to empower you to make a positive impact on the planet. Whether you're an artist, empath, or eco-warrior, there's a story here to invite awe and help you embody what I call the female frequency. Hello, frequency friends. I am noticing what a wacky world we live in right now. And one of those is because women making money is a challenge to the status quo. Yeah, today I've got my mind on my money and money on my mind. In a very fun way, I do an annual girls trip. We usually go camping and hiking through the Cascade Mountains or the Olympic Mountains. But one thing is always true, and it is that we blast that song as we take off. And it is so fun, but it's got me thinking, how do you think about your money? Do you think about it in an energetic way? Is it in an emotional way? Does money make you anxious? Or do you think about money in a happy way? I'd love it if you could share it with me, because today we're diving into a topic that's as crucial as it is complex. It's the stickies about money. And I think I've got a few reasons why, and this may help you. I've got a short history of women's financial rights and how it has impacted female artists today. But I've been noticing more and more women are also having these light bulb moments, understanding the suppressed history that has affected us. The younger generation has had some opportunities to see women who look like them succeeding, thanks to books, thanks to TV, the internet. But most importantly, it is because more and more women are talking about it. Yet we're still stuck in the thick of the old patterns, especially around money and our bodies, but that's for another episode. There are sticky situations that are clinging to us and definitely holding us back around money. Let's think about trailblazers like Sarah Blakely. She is an inventor. She invented Spanx. Let's talk about Serena Williams, the GOAT of women's athletics and a savvy investor. They're speaking out more and more about the suppressed histories of women in the financial arena. They're sharing their journeys, their insights. They're exposing the barriers that they overcame. They are shedding light on other barriers for women. Recently, Sarah made an Instagram reel that went viral. It had over 100,000 likes. Super yay. And she asked something like this. Do you know what year in the United States women gained the right to get a business loan without needing a male cosigner? And you could hear someone in the background say, was it 1974? Which is not correct. It was later than that. It was 1988. Then there's art influencer Jerry Gagosian, who pleads with artists not to go to art school unless they're super rich, because art schools aren't necessarily teaching artists how to sustain an art career, which I totally agree with. Totally. So unless you're specifically going there to network, I would challenge you with a few questions. But, unless you're going there to really network with some professors who can introduce you to people in the real world, in the real art world, how else are you going to make and afford a body of work? So, I mean, maybe think about going to school just for the connections and really make sure who you're going to be studying under. And I know this is going to ruffle some old school art dealers and galleries that use that line to artists when they don't want to represent them, or if they want to let them down easy. A lot of them will just say, your work isn't quite mature enough. Go back to school, go get your master's, or even go to art school. And that's really a lame way. I may have used it once or twice. I will admit, I didn't know what to say, but now I do. And so let me take you back in history for a minute. Let's step back into the 1970s, into the 1980s, when significant legislative changes were being made regarding women's financial rights in the US. It's a period that marked some crucial shifts in how women could manage their own finances. Dr. Ruth Mendel is an expert in political and civic engagement, highlighting systemic inequalities that women faced. And it included some financial restrictions, but she had this great quote. So she said the credit card restriction was just one example of the pervasive and institutionalized discrimination against women that existed prior to the feminist movements of the 1960s and the 1970s. So before 1974, banks and credit card companies often required, a male co-signer for women to obtain credit cards. Women could not establish their own credit history. And if you've ever had to buy your own home and start your business, you know credit history is a requirement to buy a home or start a business if you want a loan from a bank. This restriction is emblematic of the broader systemic discrimination that women faced in so many areas of our lives. So this act, it was called the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, because before all then, banks and credit card companies required a cosigner. And now they didn't necessarily need a cosigner. And this made it illegal for creditors to discriminate against applicants based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, or age. It really helped women gain the right to apply for credit cards in their own names, independent of a male cosigner. It was a significant step. But now what? Like, it's 1974, you can go and apply for it, but money was part of women's oral history. Oftentimes they were taught to squirrel money away for an escape, for traumatic reasons, not to thrive on. So let's take a minute and think about all those artists before 1974, or all the women before then. What'd they do? How did they have enough money to create a body of work and then go show it to somebody to represent it, like in a museum, in a gallery, in a cultural institution? Then what? So in 1988, we have another support system coming in, the Women's Business Ownership Act. This act addressed the unique challenges faced by women entrepreneurs. It really tried to help eliminate the requirement for the male cosigner on business loan, allowing the women to secure loans and run their businesses financially independently. It also helped establish the National Women's Business Council to advocate for women's business owners, and created some resources like the women's business centers to provide some training and support. But that's a huge systemic problem that we need a lot of support on. So now it's 2024, and if you're feeling stuck around money, if you're avoiding it, if you're not seeing it as energy, you're so not alone. For so long, financial independence was not part of the encouraging language for women. Money was often hidden. Women had to have secret funds just in case. There's a case to be made that it was like hidden and squirreled away, meaning that there was going to be some sort of traumatic event that they needed to escape on, not thrive on. It's no wonder there's sticky, icky feelings around money for women. The hidden history has profound implications for women, especially those of us who are artists. We pour our souls into our work, but when it comes to pricing our artwork, many of us hit a wall. Next, then you have to market it or you have to sell it, and then you hit another wall. Why is that? Why do we struggle so much with valuing our creations? Well, it's because of all the systemic exploitation. So let's help another ism. Let's take another approach to how we can revisit these events and apply them to our lives. So let's explore it through an ecofeminist lens. Ecofeminism is an approach that recognizes this interconnectedness between the exploitation of women and the exploitation of the environment. It really positions both women in ecosystems that have historically been devalued and exploited under patriarchal systems of power. Ecofeminism teaches us that the ways in which societies devalues and exploit nature parallel how they devalue and exploit women and their contributions. Both women and nature have been seen as resources to be exploited for profit and power, often disregarding their intrinsic value and contributions to the well-being of our communities and societies and our families. Historically, women have been relegated to roles that are unpaid and undervalued. These roles have not only been essential for functioning in societies, but have also been economically marginalized and often excluded from formal economic systems. It's a problem. This marginalization has perpetuated the cycles of economic dependence and limited financial autonomy for women. We've got some barriers to break down. The devaluation of women's labor and contribution extends to the art world big time. Female artists have historically faced challenges in even receiving recognition. Equitable compensation, are you kidding me? And fair representation in artistic spaces dominated by male perspectives. Yeah, the systemic bias has influenced how their artwork is valued in the marketplace and contributed to persistent gender disparities in earnings and career opportunities in the arts. Shout out to the Guerrilla Girls and Judy Chicago for talking about these things in very large public forums. Thank you. And understanding these isms that I have, this ecofeminism helps us see that achieving financial independence for women is not just about economic empowerment. It's about challenging and transforming deep-seated societal norms and structures that perpetuate inequality. Right? I mean, women making money is challenging the status quo. Let's do it. By recognizing the interconnectedness between the exploitation of women and nature, we can advocate for a more holistic approach to the economic justice that centers around sustainability, equality, and the recognition of diverse contributions. In the context of art and creativity, ecofeminism encourages us to value and celebrate the unique perspectives and contribution of women artists. It calls for creating supportive environments where women can thrive creatively, economically, free from constraints of historical and systemic biases. I mean, let's do it. Let's break the status quo. By embracing ecofeminist principles, we can envision a future where women artists are not only financially independent, but are also recognized as vital contributors to cultural and societal transformation. It's a journey of reclaiming sovereignty over our narratives, our creativity, and our economic destinies, paving the way for a more inclusive and equitable landscape. I mean, I want to share my personal story with money and art. When I curated the multimedia experience Beyond an Inconvenient Truth a little ways back, I wrote a curatorial statement in the 50-page catalog that included this excerpt. Capitalists say money makes the world go round. I disagree. Rather than money, I believe creativity makes the world go round. I believe in the power of art. Creativity is what sparks change. Creativity drives artists, and experiencing creativity can shift perspectives. It can uplift and motivate viewers. So when you want to feel the pulse of a community or see what status quo is being questioned today, you go to the artists. You study what the artists are creating. Artists investigate, identify, and mirror the truth. When I first started selling artwork for artists, whether that was directing a gallery or side by side with them in their studio, I can see frustration. I can see when their work is undervalued. And I know and have helped artists that were afraid that no one would buy their artwork if their price increased. But I can share with you a few things to help you through these barriers. Remember, people sell to people. They have to know you, they got to like you, they got to trust you. But there are sales techniques to nail the sale. It's what I've been doing for 25 years. I can share with you this exercise right now. I mean, step one, go look at your current body of work and identify 3 values. Tell me what you're doing. The next step is to call a meeting with your sales staff, whether you have in-house sales staff, you have gallerists, designers, call your sales staff and talk to them. Have this meeting about the values in your work. And then step 3 is to ask. Make the ask. Ask them to follow up on any leads. Call previous collectors and share the story with them. I also wanted to share that story about creativity because it took creativity from women to understand what they needed to do to help change the laws. They had to think out of the box. They had to be creative. Let's dive into some other female artists who have had to face financial challenges and overcame them. We've talked about Frida Kahlo before. I love talking about Frida Kahlo. She may not be in the United States. She was Mexican artist, but she visited the United States and often painted about the differences and political differences. But, despite her talent, she struggled to gain financial independence and recognition because everybody just thought she was Diego's wife. I mean, she really had to keep advocating for herself as an artist and as a woman. And it was part of her self-valuation that she wanted to be financially independent when she remarried Diego for the second time. I love that. It's really important to understand persistence and self-belief. Let's talk about Georgia O'Keeffe. Both of these artists were before any of these acts. 1974, 1988. Georgia O'Keeffe, I love some of her color palettes, paintings known for flowers in those southwestern landscapes. She received some significant success in her lifetime. But what I find really fun is she was fiercely independent, trailblazer, and she was negotiating her own contracts. Her story really highlights the importance of financial literacy and assertiveness in achieving economic independence. What about Kusama? I really wanted to share Kusama. She was Japanese, and then she's known for the polka dot covered installations, real avant-garde, the infinity mirrors. But I mean, it's so much more than that. But the polka dots really identify how we're all connected. And I really wanted to share more about her story because she publicly is quoted with something that I know so many women have been told. I mean, she had been quoted to say, "My mother told me I was not allowed to paint, that one day I would have to marry someone from a rich family and become a housewife. When I was a girl, she took away my inks and canvases." Right? I mean, how many of you had to hear from your family, you cannot be an artist? No, you've got to go marry, even if it's not artwork as a business. How many of you had to hear, "Oh no, you better go get married, and then you'll have to figure it out after that"? I mean, and she's publicly sharing with this. It's women sharing their stories that's helping us move the needle. I just think her story is also one of resilience and determination, and sharing her real life stories. It's awesome. No matter how arduous the road is, self-belief is something to keep in your heart. So I hope these stories really help illustrate how far we've come and how far you can go. Financial liberation for women is ongoing. It's a journey of unlearning, deconditioning, and then relearning. But, breaking those old patterns and creating new ones, it's the way to go. 4 things you can do. You can educate yourself, about financial management. Make sure you value your artwork, understand that your art has worth. Don't undersell it. You can seek support. There's artist communities out there to get experiences, learn from other artists, and get advice. You can join the female frequency community. There's definitely the mindset, advocate for change, use your voice, use your artwork, just know what you're worth. And just remember, that struggle with money isn't just personal, it's systemic. And by understanding the history and a little bit more of that context, we can start to dismantle the barriers that hold us back. There is a way we can dismantle them. We can dissolve them. As we wrap up today, I can just really, really tell that so many of the listeners are just needing some support. So remember, talk to somebody if you get it out of your head, and just know that there is a journey. And by reclaiming your financial power, we're not only supporting ourselves, but we're also being able to pave the way for future generations and future artists. Maybe if you're an artist selling artwork out of your studio and galleries, but things are slow, there are modern sales techniques. There are ways to reinvent and refresh your marketing because there are people out there buying artwork right now. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a few more thoughts. Financial independence is just a form of liberation. Who doesn't want to be liberated? It's more than just money. It's about valuing ourselves and our contributions. It's about creating a world where women are empowered to pursue their passions without these financial barriers. So thanks for joining me today. If you still have icky feelings about money, just know you're not alone. We're totally in this together. We can create this future of financial independence where it's the norm and not just the exception, okay? It's the norm. Women making money is breaking and challenging the status quo. So do it. Break the status quo, make money, dissolve those money blocks. Just know it's way back there. All these things are keep stuck. So break those barriers and build your wealth. So until next time, keep creating, keep pushing those boundaries, and keep valuing yourself and your artwork. Hey, thank you so much for vibing with the female frequency today. If this episode or any other episode has helped transform or shift your perspective in any way, please tell me all about it. Tell me all about it in a review where you are listening to this podcast. It will totally help me out and it will help spread the word. If you are a creative looking for more support, this is what I do for a living. I work with creative entrepreneurs and culture makers by giving them roadmaps, making them money, growing their audience, essentially making the business side of art easy. In addition to the one-on-one work I do, I often host workshops, and you can find out about those on my website. Go to thefemalefrequency.com. So once again, that's www.thefemalefrequency.com. All right, y'all, until next time.